a constitutional court, and I believe that is why once it is done, in future it will not be a difficult thing. We'll have already set the way of how you can get back this delegated power.
I want you to hold on that thought as I bring in Boniface. He has been here for quite a minute. Boniface, what are your thoughts?
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Evening to you. Go ahead. You have, let me give you 1.5 minutes because our time is running.
Yeah. So I would like to respond for my highlighted points. Kitu ya kwanza, I would like to speak about Adani. Adani, that is not a good deal for the benefit of the people of Kenya. So this is a deal between the government and the Adani people. So we need to find a way as the people of Kenya by the constitution, article number 1, so that we prevent this deal by taking it to Adani people. Because even if you look for the time limit 30 years, hiyo ni kitu yenye huyu jamaa anataka kuweka anataka kuchukua anataka kuuza hii kitu. So we as people we must come out and defend it as the way we did by the financial bill. So hakuna sauti yenye huyu jamaa anasikia, huyu jamaa anaitwa Ruto, except by the people, the power of the people. And then this thing called about SHIF and the SHIF al SHAF, this is another deal yenye president anatumia kuipa pesa kutoka kwa wananchi. Hii kitu na I think like I've seen some lawyers like Ndengo hapa. So hii kitu inafaa kusimamishwa. Hii kitu this is a big corruption from the government. Hii kitu inafaa kusimamishwa so that hii mambo ya kuibia wa Kenya. Wakati wanataka kutuambia kwamba they want to register more than 30 million people. So even if you can calculate even 30 million people, times almost 300 yenye mtu anafaa kulipa, because they say that the minimum amount the person needs to pay is 300 shillings. So even you can calculate that's a big a huge amount of money. These people they are stealing. So there's still another thing called
Go ahead. I've written your question about SHIF, and because I'm seeing time is gone, I want you to condense your question so that we give the other people a chance. Then I can bring in new speakers.
Niko namaliza press. Nilikuwa naongelea about another thing. It's about the IPC. So so I don't know the way. I've seen a lot of people here like Ndengwa, Jeremiah Kiona and other people. You can boost these things called IP so that it amended very fast, so that if as Chinese people we are going to push this government out, because that's the next plan, so that we have an IP so that we can elect another new people. So hii mambo na IP wanataka kukimbisha hiyo mambo na ukora ati imesimamishwa sijui nini, so it must be stopped. About the amendment of the constitution, hii kitu wameanza sijui kuincrease the terms.
Bonfils, I'm going to ask you to land so that I take Mr. Right and Ras G, then nilete speakers wengine, because hiyo tunasema ya constitution imekuwa handled ya term limit.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Right, you're next.
Thank you, Anthony. I will just talk about our president, who is very notorious. He can't hear anyone. But I can say Ruto had a chance to reconstruct and reconcile with the citizens when he dissolved the whole cabinet. After that was now the good time he had to fix the whole Kenya and go forward as citizens desired. And rather than doing that, he showed us the middle finger. That means he does not listen to any citizen. What he is about his last aid power. Rather than doing what citizens did, he re-elected the same people who made citizens to get out of street to protest. are people who are mostly known by corruption. Akira Chirchir and that guy by name Murkomen, who are very bad people indeed in his cabinet. Being Ruto being a bad leader, I can say he is also a tribalistic. They are accusing
Mr. Right.
Gachagua.
Mr. Right.
Right?
I
Yes.
want you to remain within the
Yes.
context of today's topic. Eh? It's the state of the nation right now. And if we can condense your questions to Adani, SHIF, Kentraco, those things that people have talked about, without going into the history of what Ruto has done.
Okay, now I will talk now about SHIF. SHIF is the biggest scam we have in Kenya, and that is very bad. As citizens, we should not be negotiated or talk about SHIF as citizens. That is not the biggest scam. And then our story of Adan, it is now the worst. It's not the worst. As now, imagine renting a JKA for more than 20 years. That is now exactly that year. Imagine now you are 30. To get it back, you will be that 60 or more. It means those people are there just to do what they want and not to listen to citizens. And I can say, Adan and the SHIF are the worst decisions as made by our president. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Right. Now, Senior Kansukibe Muigai, I've sent you the mic. I would want you to accept it so that you come up. Rasdi, you're next.
Thank you, my friend Anthony, and thank you, my fellow patriots, all of you who are here. I think I'll be very quick because I have a question for my SG. I'm not still so sure whether he's my SG. He will tell me today because it also forms part of the big question that I'm about to ask. But let me go just direct. Kwanza, the High Court declaration on that Privatization Act 2023 was unconstitutional. Now, I want to ask Wakili Kwanza, Wakili Ndegwa, we've talked before. Wakili, why do we lose these cases at the appeals, at the Court of Appeal? Hapo ndio penye shida inatokea sana. We look like we have won in the High Court, but once these cases zinaenda in the other upper court, tunaanza kupotelea huko. Is it as a result of you remember when Uhuru was in office, there are many judges that he had refused to promote ama kuwakubalia na wengi walikuwa Court of Appeal. And when Zakayo came into office, those were the same judges wenye alirudisha kazini. Naona. Sasa, why are we losing so many cases? And it might look like a win, but actually it's not a guaranteed win. Second question to Wakili Ndegwa, who is here, and others Wakili. It has become a trend in this nation. Watu wanaiba pesa, they loot in terms of billions, knowing very well that these loots will protect them from prosecution and other things. Is there a way that Zakayo and his regime, governors who have looted the counties, because what is happening in the country, there is outright looting with the blessing of Zakayo there. Is there a way, after we have gotten rid of this administration, that all these individuals can be held into account? Now, my third question goes to my fellow leaders, who is Tony and Jeremiah. And I would want to start with Jeremiah Kioni. We in the Jubilee find ourselves at crossroads at this special time, Bwana SG. And like I started, siko sure kama there is this pull and push. And it happened when Sabina and Wakina Kanini got used by the current Murima man, who now wants our sympathy. Jeremiah, what are you currently doing to address the civil servants being intimidated to join from SHIF to NHIF? Because I think there is politics also in this, and you as politician, what are you doing about those fellas? Also, Jeremiah, I want you to answer this. There is a population, like we, the young people. Kuna ile group yenye, like I'll just go direct, Bwana SG. Pauline Njoroge had a couple of guys that we used to work at the secretariat. Wakati tulikuwa tunafanyia Uhuru campaign 1, 2, 3. There is a group that has left to go and campaign for Raila Odinga. Now, what is the position of Azimio? Are you still going to wait for Raila, who is also part of the mess that we are trying to get rid in this country? Kwa sababu Azimio as it stands sahi, ni kama bado Raila ana control Azimio. We want to know the way forward. And as you answer that, there is a group of people who feel also that Uhuru Kenyatta is also part of the mess in the country. There are those who feel that. So how are you going to win their trust back now that you are on these platforms that were brought up by the GNZs and all that? There are those who feel strongly that that Uhuru Kenyatta is part of the mess that is being continued by William Samoei Ruto. I rest my case.
Thank you, Ras G. You raised a couple of questions there, but I'll go to Wakili. Yesito Nikashoka's hand is up. So TG first, then Ndegwa, then we bring in Senior Counsel Kibe Muigai.
I actually cede to Kibe Muigai. Let Kibe give his submission.
Thank you very much, TG.
I equally cede to Kibe Muigai.
Thank you very much, Counsel. Kibe, Senior Counsel Kibe Muigai, you have the floor.
On the issues that we are talking about that I was notified, I have followed part of this debate on the question of Adani, and of course there is the issue of the amendment bill to the constitution, plus the couple of questions that have been answered. On the Adani issue, let me start by saying and agreeing with the position by Mr. Ndegwa and Mr. Tony Gashoka that we have made some good progress in court. This matter is pending in court, and there is certain work that is supposed to be done in terms of amending the petition, which Ndegwa and I, together with other advocates, are supposed to be doing. So this is the kind of case that one would be able to say sub judice, and the merits or unmerit of it, I, as a lawyer involved in the matter, we cannot be able to discuss, except, of course, the legitimate public issues that must continue to be discussed despite the rule of sub judice. Two of those issues that I would like to highlight is the fact that under our constitutions, there is the provisions for transparency and accountability. A process to be good must be transparent and accountable throughout all the stages. But when you read like what John Bundy was explaining to the Senate, this is a process that has clearly been rushed. When you look at the yardsticks that have been set out under the law to be able to ensure that the interests of this country have been protected, there is no genuine effort that has been made. Particularly, before you can use a PIP, there must be clear justification as to why a competitive method was not resorted to by the procuring authority. In this instance, the Kenya Airports Authority. This is a big issue for the simple reason that it is for the first time, if Adani is just a normal applicant and investor interested in this project, then one would wonder, why is the entire government machinery, including the president himself, mobilizing themselves to ensure that this process is completed? There is a court order that has been given, but despite that court order, there is a clear determination to ensure that you arrive at a process whereby you say that for practical purposes, Adani has been granted all the approvals. We are just waiting for the court. This is a clear case of bad faith and ought not to be there. There would, of course, be the other bigger issue that is there really a good value Why isn't there a proposal to build a second airport in Kenya? And somebody is basically coming to get an important public asset of strategic nature without putting any real money. This should be a big matters for concern, but I appreciate that there are matters we shall be dealing with in court. Having said that, let me say one or two things about the bill to amend the constitution that has been submitted to Parliament. Now, there is an element in which you would say that we are not very surprised that William Ruto has mobilized his henchmen to try to get into this kind of game. It was always obvious from the word go that the day William Ruto becomes president of Kenya, he will do everything to hang on there by hook or crook. If the law allows him to hang in there, where he carries himself as a Democrat who can win elections, then he's going to do that. But after Gen Z, it is obvious William Ruto no longer believes that he can con his way with the people and to get himself re-elected. And this is why abduction, repression, and all these other forms, bribery of politicians, are going to be the major features. And now the thing now that he's trying to do is that if you cannot be able even to be sure that all this intimidation will get you re-elected, then you try to get yourself a 7-year term and be able to do with the presidency whatever you set out to do. It is not possible constitutionally. A constitutional amendment can itself be unconstitutional. Why do I say that? For the simple reason that the people stands at the head of the constitution. If you have a mandate, you get elected clearly on the basis that you receive the people's vote for a specific number of years. In this case, 5 years. No amendment of the constitution can substitute for the will of the people. And therefore, it is my view that this bill should actually not wait for it to go through the stages. Just like it was with the BBI bill, we must challenge the constitutionality of this bill at the stage of the bill, because you do not want to be faced up with a situation that something that from the word go is absolutely unconstitutional has been permitted to proceed to the level of wasting of public finance, and to also to ensure that the people of Kenya are distracted from what they ought to be doing. Finally, in a country that is staring at bankruptcy, where the government is no longer able to pay workers, county governments have got no money, all facilities that no more services that government should be offering is no longer capable of offering, it's a big shame to the president that he has time to follow Gachagua with impeachment, to sponsor this kind of bills. And the only thing he's truly interested in all this is the Adani deal. So it is the biggest letdown that you can have. And the least, and I keep repeating this, those people who voted for this government should feel very ashamed of themselves, because it amounts to betrayal of this country. That for the second time, people are back to the trenches to fight for things that we assumed we had already crossed those rivers. With these submissions, let me hear what the others are saying. And about the Court of Appeal, sorry, I had said I'll answer that. The Court of Appeal, basically what is happening, these cases are won fair and square before the High Court. But what you can see with the SHIF is where that the High Court finds something to be unconstitutional, then you get a stay to say, you see, when a declaration is made under the existing law, you can only remove that declaration of unconstitutionality by hearing the appeal, and the appeal court saying that there was no basis for unconstitutionality, because it is the High Court that constitutionally is given the original jurisdiction to say whether something is constitutional or not. and can only be changed after the appeal is heard. But now you are seeing monkey games going on at the Court of Appeal, where declaration of unconstitutionality are being stayed. This is completely illegal, even on the basis of previous decisions of the High Court. But again, we must bear in mind, during Ruto's time, anything goes. All these kind of crazy things, like where the police arrest you and you have the Inspector General of the police saying it is not the police abducting people, all these crazy things are going to be happening. And it's a shame that the country has to go through this kind of massacres. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much for your submission. I'm really appreciative of all the lawyers we have in the panel today that are assisting us with answering questions. So as we go forward, I have Jose, I have MESQ, followed by Adjoga, then Kaka, then Bondo, then Real Joe. Please proceed for at least 3 minutes per person. So Jose, please go ahead. Josephine, I'm sorry, Josephine.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Go on, Josephine.
Yes, we can
Thank
hear you.
Thank you, Anton, for giving me this opportunity and also for hosting the space. Good evening, fellow countrymen and women of Kenya. Yeah, and I really appreciate what you are doing, guys, the senior counsels, for the information you are giving us and the feedback. We really appreciate. We are not taking it for granted. What I would wish to say is that regarding the Adani issue in our country, the truth is that His Excellency the President, that is Mr. Ruto, has just shown that he is not even willing to be submissive to any law whatsoever, because as at now, there is a lot happening, and as the lawyers are just telling us, but he's standing a deaf ear, and everyone can see that. And now, again, we are seeing somebody feeling that they would really go and even file a motion in court, in the parliament, to ensure that they get him back, or they extend the period of him being in office. That's very, very sad as a nation. And we need to stand up for what belongs to us as a country. Fellow countrymen and women, a time has come. We are not going to soothe President Ruto for any reason whatsoever. When he thinks also they want to impeach Gachagua and whatever, he should be living also, they should be living together, because we are just tired of whatever he's trying to do to our country. And we need to tell him the truth that the country belongs to us, it doesn't belong to him. And we need to put this very clear and very categorical. If it means all of us calling upon all the citizens of Kenya and they say that he must go, we need to do that. A time has come, we cannot bear it any longer. Regarding the SHIF insurance, it's very sad. Looking at it at a point whereby somebody used to contribute maybe 1,400 and would even get services, especially the civil servants, they would get even dental services and Optica. Right now, there's nothing like that, and it has been increased from 1,700 to 2,850. Then what are we doing to our people? We are not increasing their salaries. The civil servants are really in distress. You can see how much it's happening. We've seen the other doctor the other day committing suicide. Is still trading till today. Something very important. We need psychologists and counselors employed. Nothing is happening. Nobody cares. We are seeing suicidal matters day in, day out.
Josephine, am I the only one who lost Josephine Moiro?
He's breaking.
You know, as Josephine fixes her mic, to all the senior panelists here, you hear people are saying they are broke and more salary is being taken from their pay slips. That's just a point to take home. Josephine, I want you to work on your mic. I'll keep you up there.
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Somebody was calling me.
Okay. Keep it brief, Josephine.
Thank you. Yes. So what are we saying? It's the high time actually we even declare even the MP.
Josephine, we've lost you again. So Mwero, who was next?
Can I pick it up?
ESQ.
Go ahead. Who said he wants to pick it up?
It's a joke.
ESQ, please go ahead.
Who is ESQ? Can I pick it up?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks so much, Tony. Thanks so much for giving me this opportunity. Mine will be very brief. I'm saying we have Wakili Kibe, the veteran journalist Tony here, Wakili Ndegwa, and Honorable Jeremiah Kioni. It is true that politics has brought us to where we are, and we are just from elections the other day. It is barely 2 years away from elections. Those 2 years has been marked by a robust and deliberate efforts to make the big man hold all the stakes in majority of our portfolios, economic portfolios, and that is the obsession currently we are seeing with Mr. Ruto. It is so unfortunate. Actually, before even we move any further to the third year of his presidency, I know majority of you now still can now see that there was a deliberate intention by Ruto to ensure that in every sector of our economy he has a hand of getting back his shares. He must be a shareholder in almost all sectors. It all started from a national housing project. We don't know where that project is. I don't know how many Kenyans so far who are middle class or who are on the lower end of the economic ladder have actually gotten access to those houses. After housing issues, that project seems to not even employing anyone. We are back here on the issue of our airports, and a lot of scandals after scandals, oil scandal, what scandal, so many scandals. Now we have SHIF. The rain has not just dropped with the Adani issue. Now again we have SHIF coming in. That SHIF also has so many bureaucracy, and you can notice Safaricom is involved, Adani is involved. There is nowhere. Now our children, universities are closing up. Some of us children are going back because the funding models currently we have is totally reckless and not making sense. You can read all those papers, you are not getting anything out of them. What are we saying? Our country is collapsing. Politicians who are here, Wakilis, and thanks so much to Wakili Ndegwa, Kibe, and so many people who have been on the front line, genuinely fighting for the interest of, of Kenyan men and women who are actually suffering currently. I'm in the healthcare industry. I know what is happening at KNH. Currently, when you talk about Kenyatta and you compare it with Muhimbili Hospital here in Tanzania, there is a complete difference. You can be easily treated with very good ethical and professional standard here in Tanzania at Muhimbili Referral Hospital. But when you come here in KNH, you will utapanga laini mpaka next year. With very rude people, very rude consultants, very rude healthcare workers. And why are they rude? It is not because they want. The pressure, the frustrations that those people are working under is very dire. And they are forced to live now in turns to do what they are supposed to be doing, and they are expecting those interns to meet the standard of their own standards when they are in their private practice. And you saw now we have lost a very young girl Worst of it all, and I want to ask Mheshimiwa Jeremiah Kioni, was there any allocation for intern doctors for the year 2024-2025? The case is still in court on the issue of internship remunerations. But even as it is in court, is it okay that we pay MCAs 300, 400, 500,000? In fact, some of them are even using billions to go and benchmark how doctors are doing well in Malaysia, how doctors are doing well in Russia, and earning 500,000, using so much billions and millions to go and benchmark, leaving our intern doctors dying here because they cannot be paid. And they have to do what consultants are supposed to do, because those consultants are frustrated and they're forced to go to their private practice. I want to ask you, Mheshimiwa Kioni, I know this is a very hard task at this time. I feel it, because we cannot, this is a discussion we all need to soberly bring on board. We cannot say that you go out and fight for the interest of Kenyans when we see politicians have crossed the lines and they are now eating all together in the same plate. It is a multifaceted effort that will involve all of us, but at least you are in a position to furnish Kenyans with the right information. And I request you, moving forward, even as to furnish me with whether or not, and the wakilis who are here, to give us a legal advice or a legal exposure on what exactly are we going to do moving forward with our medical doctors and medical interns who are currently frustrated working in the healthcare facilities. I know some of you are not going to these public facilities in the country, but let me tell you, things are not the way you think they are. This country is collapsing. This country is going down to the dogs. So I'm requesting those who are here, the wakilis who are here, and Mheshimiwa Kioni, kindly furnish us with an information on whether we have funding for health, for the Ministry of Health, and specifically for our medical interns who are likely, and I'm telling you, in the next 1 month again, one of them will die, because I've worked in those healthcare facilities and I see what is happening. I see what is happening every day. Our children are really suffering. Lastly, is that the reason why Gachagua is being haunted, it is not because there is need to have a better Kenya for all of us. No. There is a lot behind the screens that we are asking Mheshimiwa Jeremiah Kioni, who are in the political spaces, to be able to literally open our eyes and tell us what is the problem, because literally it is not about Kenyans. It is about either there is someone who is supposed to have shares somewhere and is not getting the right shares. We need to know, so that this politics of tribalism simply die its own natural death. We really need to know what is happening. We cannot be fighting Adani today. We are fighting SHIF today, and all of a sudden,
excuse me, Ajoga, do you mind
we
landing,
really have
please?
to land. We have a very hot night.
I'm actually landing, sorry. We cannot be fighting about issues that are actually bedeviling Kenyans, and then there is also another war on political class, which actually curtails all these wars that we are fighting. And
Ajugo, I got your questions. Honorable Kioni, sorry. There seems to be a lot of questions coming your way. Kenyans are saying Kenya is not working for them. You've been asked, I don't want you to respond to the Jubilee question for now. I'll give you time to respond to that. But Kenyans, Ajugo is asking, was there any allocation of money for doctors and interns in the last financial bill? And he's simply saying that the public sector, especially hospitals, is not working. And what can you guys in the opposition do about it? I think, Ajugo, I don't think Honorable Kioni is on the mic. But I'll keep the question for him. I'll keep your questions here. Muero, who was next?
Kaka, please proceed.
All right. Thanks a lot for this.
I'm sorry,
chance.
before you start, for the next upcoming speakers, please let's limit our time to at least 3 minutes each. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Muru, for this chance, and Anthony for organizing this. First of all, let me take this chance to greet all Kenyans of great concern, my fellow lawyers and advocates who are here. Greetings, and thank you for helping to fix this country's crisis that we're facing in. I know that we've been really meeting frequently on the spaces previously, trying to answer some of the hard questions. We will be keeping our ear today to listen. If there are questions that need to be answered, we're going to answer as per se. But one thing that I'm going to say, and I'm going to urge everyone here, is that everybody who is listening, let us marshal back the effort and go to the streets. And to Honorable Kioni, a simple questions, and I'm asking this one also because I am not political affiliated. I'm just like any other citizens. But if you're in the government today, if you are a CS, because we've seen Raila, we've seen the fight of the Gen Zs in the streets, and the outcome of it is the Raila's camp was considered. In fact, even the most vocal people who are in parliament and in Senate, all of them went silent. I was shocked. If you're considered today, because if you're given a chance today to be a CS, will you be like Wundai, who was upright, left, center, keeping the government on toes in terms of performance? If you can only answer that, I'll be very happy. Because for me, and for the many years I have been in the corridors of justice as an advocate, dealing with so many matters, sorry to say this, so that the biggest problem we have is corruption. And even the leaders who are here, I mean, to all the lawyers and the advocates who've spoken before me, Negua and others, senior counsel, I've seen Kibe here. If they say that the grass are always greener on the other side, that's what the philosopher says. And the moment someone's stomach is full, they will forget someone else who is next. And this is the biggest questions that if we can unravel this puzzle to anyone who is listening to this one, we're going to build a better country. I can see this space. For example, let's say we are 500 of us. If you take the total population of Kenya and minus this number that are here, let's say all of us are transformed in terms of mind and everything, and take this small population of people, let's say to Nairobi only, and you become all employees of Nairobi County, this country is going to move forward. But the problem is, are you making noise because you're on the opposite side, you're not on the government, or you are a senior patriot who want the best for this nation? Let's even forget about Adani. We are fixing all this because what people don't want, if people are pushing for impeachment of Gachagua in expense of people who are committing suicide because there's no job, then we're not speaking. In 2014, I was even shocked, like Safaricom was given a deal of 15 billion to do surveillance, and then again, they are now being given 104 billion to fix SHIF. My comments in 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. Honorable Kenny, I don't know whether you're back, but you seem to be having...
No, I'm
people
there.
seem to be having very many questions for you. I don't want you to handle Jubilee first. I'll give you time to handle Jubilee. But
I actually don't even need to handle Jubilee. You can handle it elsewhere.
Thank you very much, sir. So Kaka has asked, what would you do different if you're in government? And if you got an appointment, would you still keep the government on its toes, or would you switch like the likes of the people who were appointed from Azimio, who one day were not believers in KK, but the moment they got jobs, they now understand the KK manifesto better than the people in KK themselves? Then you are asked about people committing suicide because they can't get jobs and a very toxic working environment. What are your questions? You can start with the KK. Would you become a believer who understands their manifesto better than them if you had the chance?
We were offered, we declined for the reason that there is nothing like panel beating to this regime. It will need to go the whole of it. Hope to bring in a new team of people who believes in something. Two is because That was still what I was calling Kipidi. It was meant to take the steam off Gen Z, and it seems to have succeeded for the time being. And it will not be good to be recruited into those schemes that take the energy from others. On the issues of the interns, it also goes for the junior secondary school teachers. Remember, they had protest demonstrations, strikes because of the payment, the levels of payment. They were told to go back as they try and negotiate. So whatever money that was, whatever amount of money that was budgeted for these sectors is not adequate. It actually amounts to underpayment or paying them less than what they were being paid there before. And it is for that reason that we need to start with them. When they call for strikes, let us not wait for them to do it alone. We should be out together with them. On this issue of the SHIF, is another scandal, and I think we are now seeing what we saw in South Africa, state capture. Those who are familiar with the Gupta, Adani is our Gupta, and the only thing we can do as a country, on top of the legal battles that we have in court, is to prepare to come back to the streets and resist it as a whole. But again, we should not allow ourselves to lose focus. The focus is the entire Ruto regime must be removed from power. And that is why we have defined ourselves into two groups. It's Operation Okoa Kenya or Operation Okoa Sakayo. Gachagua's impeachment is fake. It is the same people. It's not people from outside who are impeaching them. Ni wao wenyewe wanatuchezea sarakasi. Please, Kenyans, don't get dragged into it. It is a case of self-preservation. Gachagua is interested in preserving himself for 2027, Ruto the same. And they will continue playing these games. Even the issue of trying to amend the constitution to increase the term of office for William, it is meant to distract us from the scandals. Let us remain focused on the ball. And the ball is home for Sakayo.
Honorable Kioni, yes. I want you to hold on that thought because I can hear you are so passionate you're actually banging your table.
I am sorry.
As we bring in the no, it's okay. I understand. TG Council Ndegwa and Senior Council Kibe Muigai. TG, I have a question on my DM. You came up with the genius idea of taking the JKI issue to court. Now, Kenyans have asked me to ask you, what do we do about SHIF? It seems to be a pain in people's neck and can't tackle. Just a minute, TG, then Amwero can circulate the mic.
I think that's a very valid question. And what I was saying to you about why the Andani deal was an important one to start with was because, even in strategy or let's say war, you need to be able to zero in on the enemy and get the mood, not just of the country, because even the court or the courts live within this country. And I think for me, as a tactical issue, the JKIA brought together everybody simply because of its importance as a national asset, but also because it was a profitable, working, operative parastatal, where Kenyans were not just shareholders of it, but were contributory people in making it a profitable enterprise. So not only were they taking an asset that they shouldn't sell, but they were even ignoring the contributory part that the Kenyan people play towards JKIA, number one. Number two, it was the beginning of the ones that were paving the way for Andani. The Andani deals are interrelated and interdependent insofar as he is a Gupta of Kenya. In his and we had this before with Kamlesh Patni and with Aglo Listing and other scandals before, where the state choose an operative and they begin to use him as an agent who can pay them abroad by creating shell companies. So the Andani group has created the share. Well, I am told by the lawyers we should not discuss certain things. I'm a plaintiff in this matter. So I would be careful, since my counsels are also on this space, not to tie their hands and their legs in court. But let me say just that you do not want one person to be utilized as a vehicle to be able to overtake the externalization of corruption. Let me give the example of Chicken Gate, which was really a wonderful expose of how these deals are done. They used a UK-based company, paid money externally in order to corrupt the electoral system with the old, electoral commission body. And I think the idea of Andani could have been the idea that he can be able to externalize his transactions. But because we are subjudiced, I don't want to say anything more on the matter.
Thank you, TG. Moero, you can back to you on the mic.
Yes, let's have Bondo. Please, let's limit our submissions to at least 3 minutes so we can add more speakers. Thanks. It's Bondo, then we'll have KOT, then Mount Kilimanjaro, and then Rio Joe, and then we'll bring in new speakers.
Mweru, can I say something before probably they speak?
Sure, you can.
Absolutely.
Yes, I wanted to add something to what Tony has said, because I think I will be going somewhere after 10. What I wanted to add as to the question that was asked that needs a pointed answer is, now that Adani, we are trying to deal with it in court, what shall we do with SHIF? Now, SHIF, as I had tried to explain, the High Court already ruled by a judgment, with a judgment that it is unconstitutional. The Court of Appeal has stayed the judgment of the High Court declaring unconstitutionality, which means that appeal can even take 4 or 5 years without being heard. And then SHIF is going to become a fait accompli. But now what therefore me this means is that if the legal options is being muddled up and being made a mockery of, is there anything else that can be done? My answer to that is yes, there is. I will be speaking to some of you later, Tony Gashoka, Ndegwa, Honorable Kioni, and Anthony, about some of the issues that can be done, but I can mention two. I think for me, it is important to remember that the Kenya government